If you are painting this small, it's a good idea to use really small brushes. So I'm gonna go in with this yellowy green mixture. And I'm gonna put a little more blue in it. And this side of the house, or the lighthouse, is reflecting from the sky or the sea, or both. So it does have this greenish, bluish cast to it, especially down lower. And the reflected light that's bouncing up, that's bouncing down and back up, is going to be a little yellower. So I'm going to go ahead and set this kind of bluey color in here. Even though it's white, white is rarely totally white. Now I'm going to use a little bit of lemon yellow. And these washes are very watery and very soft. So let's get up under here. Then we'll go into the bluer. Here. And because I don't want this heavy, you'll see me blot this off. So I just want the tiniest tint. And the balcony under the railing here is a bit browner. So I added a little bit of a darker brown to that. And again, I'll blot it back. And then the bottom of the lighthouse is very dark, but we'll go ahead and just suggest that right now. So we have an idea that it's going to be really dark, and it does come on up to there. And we'll darken that as we go. Now for the white of the roof, well, let's get up to this little browny yellow up here. It's a muted yellow in the shadow. So we're just going to drop that in a little bit there. And then there's a dark shadow underneath there. There's a little bit over here. And if you look at your black and white reference, you can really see the values. You can see this is the lightest, this is your mid-tone, this is your darkest dark. So if you pay attention to that, and go ahead and put in these, start building those darks. It's just the little shutters. And let's build these. When you're painting, this brown is just made with burnt sienna and a little bit of ultramarine blue. And again, you don't want it very harsh. If you make those stand out too much, they don't look realistic. And there's a climbing thing here. Okay. There's also a shadow line that goes right along the edge of under the roof. There's a shadow. So we'll put that in. And then the shadow that's underneath the eaves of the little lighthouse is a bit bluer and cooler. So that one will come out here. and out to there, and a little bit under this one. And then it goes back under here and goes there. And then again, we'll soften that. I always paint with a tissue in my hand, and I teach my students to do this because you can catch a mistake immediately that way. Otherwise, you have to go find, that's darker up there, you have to go find your paper towel in the meantime. There's a bit of a little roof up under here. Okay, I'm going to make this side darker because it looks darker to me. We'll just keep building that. This entire side of the house actually here is darker and bluer. Go ahead and drop that in. Let's go ahead and let that come on down here. I'm not going to do a whole lot to this one. So this one was overworked right here. Those are the guide cables that are holding the lighthouse up so it can withstand hurricanes. So we're just ever so lightly, and I am barely touching that to put that in. And these, I didn't like how dark the windows and the shutters were in this painting, so I'm going to keep them a little bit lighter. I'm going to use a little bit of burnt sienna with the blue. Let's see if I can get a little bit more of a softer dark and just touch it. Just realized there's not a shutter there, but there should be. So if you want to put a shutter there, that's fine. I'm sure that just lost it during the last hurricane. Okay. And I'm going to create this door a little bit more, just so it stands out a little bit more. And this, I don't know what that is, but I think that's important. And because there are softer pencil lines on this one, it has a better, softer look than this one, which I drew very hard so that my students could see what the actual little house looked like. But I'm really liking the softness here. And it's important that you understand perspective so that you can get the shadows in the right places. That's a very harsh shadow there. Really liking how simple this is and how light. Okay, so I'm really liking the lighthouse. So now I'm going to go back in with this again just to strengthen the darks here. So we'll do the cerulean blue with a little ultramarine. And because it is a greenish, it does have a greenish tint, I'll mix in some of the yellow. Get this absolutely beautiful color. And horizon lines need to be pretty straight. So, and of course, the more pigment you have in your paint mixture, the better coverage you're going to have. I'm painting very watery because I really want this to run. And I also want this beautiful green. All right. And you can always help this along just with a flick of a brush. If you want some more interesting waves and things in there. But I find that these really soft brushes really help when you're painting on this kind of a surface. So that's better. And always remember that since the water is a reflection of the sky, the color needs to blend. In a photograph, it's artificial. The color is artificial. So you can do a little more cerulean blue, but it's important to try to keep it as close as you can to that actual color. Same color. That's why we paint in color families, and that's why we always use the same color combinations so we have harmony in our painting. And I'm just darkening that a little tiny bit. There. And I could keep working on this if I wanted to. I'm actually just going to, since this was just an example of how to paint and what it feels like to paint on this particular ground, I am going to add a little more this beautiful green color, which is the shallows of the water. Just with a wiggly brush, just in places here and there. And then the other thing is there's a very large, dark line right on the bottom of this shadow here. Goes basically underneath here. That needs to be a little bluer, like that. And it is spreading because it's wet, and I'm okay with that. But I am going to let it do this. On the water, but I will soften that just a little bit. But I'm not going to let it be a solid, heavy line. I'm going to let it be soft. Is that will look better? I do need to get that line straight. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to darken the shutters just a little bit there. But I'm going to leave the windows lighter. And there's a real dark line right here. And I'm looking for any other darks that I might see. I need to connect these. I'm not going to take the dark all the way down though. I'm just going to take it about halfway. Well, for some I will. For the ones in the front, or the ones that are darker, I will go ahead and take those down. And I need to put in this ramp, or I guess it's a swimming platform. I'm guessing here. Okay. I am going to go in with the tiniest little flat brush. So I'm going to soften this line a little bit here, because that was a bit too harsh. And I'm going to soften this on up into here, because I don't like that being that white. Okay, that is it. I am calling that cute little thing done.